Welcome back to Green is Good. We're so honored to have Roy Johnson with us today. He's the CEO of EcoFactor. Welcome to Green is Good, Roy Johnson.
Thanks. It's my pleasure to be here.
Hey, Roy, you have, like everybody else, you have a storied history, a lot of success in your rearview mirror. Before we get into talking about this wonderful company that you're the CEO of, EcoFactor, talk a little bit about the Roy Johnson journey and how you got here and some of the other great wins you've had in your past.
Sure, happy to. So when I came out of school, I went to work for a company called 3Com that was very successful in the computer networking industry for a long time. Ended up staying there for 13 years. I lived in Australia for 3 years. I lived in Hong Kong for 3 years, and stayed there right up until sort of the middle of the dot-com boom, and then left 3Com and went to a startup called 2Wire that makes a very good home networking product that is sort of connected to what we're doing now at EcoFactor from a technology standpoint a little bit. That company went on to great success and is widely used across the country. Then I was CEO of a company called Redline Networks, which was acquired for a nice sum by Juniper. Then I spent 4 years in the solar industry, and which was great fun. I learned a lot, and we built up a big solar company. As you may know, the good news on solar is that the prices are very low now, so it's easier for people to install solar. The bad news is it's tough to make money if you're a manufacturer. So
right.
I moved on from that and landed at EcoFactor about 2 years ago, and it's been kind of all up into the right since then.
And that's wonderful. And for our listeners out there that want to not only listen to Roy and what he's doing at EcoFactor, but watch and look, I'm on his website right now. It's actually a great website. And for those who want to look at it, it's www.ecofactor.com. Talk a little bit about EcoFactor. How, why would this be the next part of the evolution of the Roy Johnson story, going from solar into energy efficiency? Why did you see that as the next step?
Right. So when I made the decision to move into the energy sector 7 years ago now, it was partly because it's an interesting business opportunities. There's a lot of disruption going on in the energy industry, and certainly my last company, Cali Solar, was a part of that in the solar industry with a completely different approach to making solar. But the thing I love about EcoFactor is energy efficiency is by far the most cost-effective way of reducing greenhouse gas and energy consumption overall, because if we can all reduce our usage of electricity and gas and so forth, it makes a huge difference. And it's much cheaper to deploy a solution like ours than it is to build another power plant or to build another solar array or another wind farm. So that's one of the things I really like about this, is that it's very cost-effective from a societal standpoint. It's very competitive. It's software-based. So what we do is we put a communicating thermostat into a home, and there's lots of wireless thermostats available now in the world, and we work with a variety of different ones. And once we get it into the home, we have really clever software that lives out in the cloud that analyzes the usage patterns of the consumer, the way the house heats and cools, and our software will control the thermostat in a much more efficient way than a consumer ever could, or that a thermostat by itself could, because we have so much more computing power that we can bring to the problem.
So explain, take it to, we got a lot of homeowners that are listening to the show across the United States right now. Let's bring it home to them, no pun intended. What would that mean? Like what kind of thermostat should they be buying, and how do they tie into your great service and enjoy the benefit, or as they say in Silicon Valley, get the ROI for their investment?
So the way that we go to market, we don't actually have something that we go directly to consumers.
Okay.
We work through other larger companies to get this into the hands of consumers, and these are companies that have existing relationships with consumers and a regular sort of contact with them. And so, for example, our biggest rollout so far is actually with Comcast. Comcast has a new service offering that's been around for about a year called Xfinity Home. Xfinity Home is home security, home automation, and home energy management. We are the energy management part of that. There's other companies that provide the security and so on. And so anyone who lives in Comcast territory, which is about 40% of the country, can go to Comcast and say, I want to sign up for Xfinity Home, and they have a variety of different packages available, and they'll get the EcoFactor service. And then once that's installed, not only will they have this great home security offering and so on, but they'll also have this ability to have their thermostats managed on a much more sort of automated basis. And the idea is that the consumer doesn't really need to do anything any different. That when we first install, we ask a few basic questions about lifestyle. You know, roughly how warm do you like it during the day and at night, and in the summer and the winter? Is anybody home during the day? And then we build a schedule for them, and we manage the system for them, so they really don't have to think about it. And they can give us some input into how efficient they want to be, and then our system will conform to that. So that's sort of the user experience. For other customers that live in certain parts of the country where we have programs, we also have programs with utilities. And so if you happen to live in Nevada, for example, there's the utility in Nevada, which is called Nevada Energy, has a program where anybody can sign up. They get, in their case, they actually get a free thermostat, and it's provided by the utility on a subsidized basis, and then they go from there. So it's a very simple structure, and we're working on rolling this out into other geographies as well.
Wait a second. Okay, so I understand. You're the CEO of EcoFactor. When you came on, how many households were signed up, without giving out perfect numbers, but like rounded? How much has the company grown since you've been the CEO?
And we've grown. Well, we've grown from zero. When I joined, we had really zero customers.
Okay,
installed.
That's a simple number.
2 years ago, and now we're in the tens of thousands of homes.
Wow.
And so it's moving along very, very quickly. It's growing very rapidly. One of the things that works in our favor on this is that there's much greater awareness of energy use around the country, and people are more aware of what's going on. They're paying attention to their energy bill. They're really trying to make sure that they're being efficient, partly because they want to save money,
sure,
and partly because they want the remote control. One of the nice things about our solution is you get remote control of your thermostat. So if you want to, adjust the temperature up or down, you can without getting off the couch. You've got just like a TV remote. I'm old enough to remember when TVs didn't all have remote control, and you actually had to get up to change the channel, and we're essentially providing the same kind of capability for the thermostat.
Is it also, I'm on your website, and again, for our listeners out there to see Roy's very innovative and really great company and website too, it's www.ecofactor.com. Is this also controllable vis-a-vis our Android or our iPhones too?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So the way that I generally control my system in my house is I use my iPhone.
Okay.
And I find that to be the quickest and easiest thing. But there's a web interface you can get to from your computer or Android, and that really does make it simple and quick for people. And we find that once people get used to it, they really don't bother going and pushing the buttons on the thermostat anymore, because it's just easier and quicker, because most people, they always have their phone in their pocket.
Yeah. I was at a conference about a year ago or so, Roy, and again, there was a very, very smart venture capitalist from Silicon Valley sitting next to me, and I asked him what was his investment strategy from there on and for the foreseeable future. And I said, are you going to be doing more wind or more solar? And he said, nope. And I said, why? He said, John, the smart money is going into energy efficiency. And obviously, Roy, you've had so much success in your past, and obviously you're part of that smart money. Talk a little bit about the need for energy efficiency. Is it true that in terms of the worldwide production of energy, we're wasting right now about 50% of the energy we produce, and really this is going to be one of the greatest mega trends in the next foreseeable decades ahead, energy efficiency, and doing exactly what you're doing right now?
Well, so the big gain of energy efficiency is that you can get benefit with really very little money spent. So and without making sort of lifestyle trade-offs, that's really the goal. So if you think about automobiles, right, which is a little bit outside our segment, but the automobiles, if the fuel economy standard is increased, which it has been over the last few years,
right,
and the U.S. still has one of the lower fuel economy standards. China has a higher fuel economy standard than the United States does. Most of Europe has higher fuel economy standards than we do, and they meet them. And so the technology clearly exists.
Right.
Part of the challenge is that we prefer to drive great big SUVs and things like that
right.
have lower average fuel economy. But if you can increase the average vehicle fleet from 20 miles per gallon to 40 miles per gallon, everybody gets to drive just as far as they always did. They just use half as much fuel. And the same idea applies on your heating and cooling, or on your lighting, or all the other parts of the energy mix that a consumer has, is that if you can be more efficient with the way that you use energy, then you're much better off. So swapping out incandescent light bulbs for CFLs and LED light bulbs makes a huge difference. Refrigerators are 5 times more efficient than they were 30, 40 years ago.
Right.
And all of that is technology that's readily available. And the great thing about refrigerators, or, for example, nobody has to do anything. When their old refrigerator dies, they buy a new one, and that one will automatically be much, much more efficient than the old one, because the industry requirements have gotten so much tighter than they used to be.
So
it's a big win, and not to say that we shouldn't continue to construct, solar and wind,
right,
and other alternatives to fossil fuels, but using less energy without making major compromises is really the right way to go.
So we're down to the last couple minutes or so, Roy. Talk about the huge trend of big data, which only seems to be growing because of our ability to gather it more and to digest it. How does that tie into improved efficiencies with utilities and homeowners, which is then again your sweet spot and where you're going with your great brand?
Yeah, so big data is a very important technology around Silicon Valley and in the world. So it's used in systems like what Google has. Their whole search engine and all the stuff that they do was really one of the first really great examples of the power of big data and being able to take data and analyze it and work through it. What we do is we pull enormous amounts of data back from thermostats about, how quickly does the house warm up, how quickly does it cool off, how does it behave? And embedded in all that data is really useful information about the way to optimize it. And so the idea of big data is taking huge amounts of data and sifting through it and figuring out insights that you can get from that data. And so the people that we have a group of 3 people that we call our quants. They're the quantitative people that really design the whole big data system. All of them are physicists. They're not regular software engineers. They come from particle physics world, and they're incredible data guys, and they've done a wonderful job of building this system out that allows us to get an insight into what's going on in homes.
What's the future? We got a minute left. What's your goal? I mean, obviously, Roy, you've done well. You've scaled companies before. You really know what you're doing with regards to leading companies as a CEO. When you go to bed at night, EcoFactor, how many million households 2-3 years from now are going to be signed up to this great service?
Certainly, our target market is North America, and there's about 140 million households in North America.
Wow.
And so our target, if we could get to even 5% of those houses,
wow.
We become a very, very large company, and we save enormous amounts of energy, and we save people an awful lot of money. So I think that's really where we're headed, and we expect that this will continue to ramp up over the years. And whether we do it or somebody else does it, people will end up with communicating thermostats in their home. They will end up with these kinds of systems because it's so much better than what they have today.
That's awesome. And for our listeners out there that want to be part of this new trend of energy efficiency and really help do something good for the planet, but also do something good for your own pocketbook, you can go to Roy's great website and company. It's www.ecofactor.com. Learn more about what's going on with regards to energy efficiency and leverage this, because as Roy pointed out earlier, it's easy to use. You could do it right off your iPhone or your Android, and it benefits your family and it benefits the future of the earth at large. Roy Johnson, you are a visionary sustainability leader and truly living proof that green is good.